It's 6 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting of the Audit Committee to order. I do declare that we have a quorum here tonight. Have you all had a chance to review the minutes from our March 16th, 2021 meeting? I would entertain a motion then to approve those minutes if someone would like to make. Mr. Whitaker makes a motion to approve. Second, and Leslie, Ms. Overman. All in favor say aye. All opposed? They stand approved. We'll move into election of officers. This is the first time that we have met this year. We generally just meet once and elect the officers at that time. At this time, I will open the floor for nominations for chairman.
I make a motion. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Make a motion to keep the officers the same.
We have a motion by Ms. Overman to keep the officers as they have been. And do we have a second to that motion?
Yes, I second that.
Mr. Whitaker seconds that motion. All in favor of keeping the officers the same, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The officers will passes. The officers will remain the same. We'll move into the review of the 2021 report. The fund balances. Would you like to go over those, Mayor?
Yes, sir. If you look at, I believe it's page 4 in your packet, shows the beginning balance of July 1st, 2020, and our ending balance on June 30th, 2021. And you can see on all of our funds except two, and that would be the ambulance service and education debt services, we had an increase in our fund balance. General fund went up $721,802. And I believe that's largely due to grant money that came in from the state of Tennessee. Their governor's local support grant was a lot of that. Same in the urban services district, which we had an increase of $311,639. Solid waste, we didn't have any grant fund coming in there, but we did have an increase of $249,806. So it did good there. Ambulance service, we had a deficit there of $171,864. There was some one-time projects and things put into that accounted for some of that difference. However, we do need to keep an eye on that going forward with the increase in EMS pay that we've done, which is almost $100,000. We do need to look at that closely as we go into next budget year, and so that's something we're going to pay attention to. County drug fund up $12,000. Debt services had an increase of $116,305, and at the same time, we're also working on decreasing the debt as we go forward. We had 2 or 3 debts that have rolled off, and we're taking those payments, rolling them over and paying on other debts. So we're doing a debt snowball that we discussed last budget year, and that's really working out for us. And we did talk to our debt holder, or at least debt carrier, the Tennessee Municipal Bond Fund. He was in my office, I believe, last month, and he just kind of sat down and did a cursory look at it. And he was very pleased to see that we were doing the debt snowball and that we were really going to be able to take advantage of getting some of those paid off quicker, especially on some of the fixed rates that were higher than what we have on variable right now. So he was very pleased to see that and freeing up some space there. Education debt service went down, but that's really just paying on the high school, and we're going into the last year on that. And then that fund will go away when the wheel tax and everything goes away, so that debt will go away. And I believe we're estimating right now to have somewhere around $400,000 left in that fund at the end of this debt that we're going to roll over and pay on the middle school roof to help knock that down. Highway fund had increased 45,677, and the general purpose school increased 334,655. So we ended the fiscal year in a better position on just about all our funds except for the two I mentioned. Our total beginning balance was $11,853,202, and our total ending balance was $13,315,832. So it had a net increase of $1,462,265. Though I will reiterate, some of those were the grant funds from the state of Tennessee and the governor's local support grant that were pretty much one-time funds. That don't count on those going forward. So, but they did help out. And if you look on the next page, our audit financial report, the state comptroller's office has started putting out this kind of little summary. We only had 2 findings this year, and both of those were in the water and sewer utility department. There were some deficiencies in how they maintain their capital asset records. We did have a meeting with the comptroller's office, and there was I believe, a new system they're using. It's going to help keep track of that information. That should address some of their issues. And then there was some competitive bids for some sewer line work that was not following a contract. Actually, the contract was thought that it was still good. However, it was a 1-year contract, and they had ended by the time they entered into this services for extending the water line. It's actually the one behind the administration building. When they put that out and had work done on it, the contract had already ended. So we did address that. They did put out an RFP for doing contract services going forward. That's going to be a 3-year contract. So they went through the bid process for that. So that should address that going forward. And as I said, those were the only 2 audit findings for this fiscal year. And if you look at the last page, your data snapshot, now this shows total debt, total expenditures, and total revenues. Now that is countywide. That's schools, highway department, every fund. And it also includes the fund passing through the county going to the prison. So if you look at 2019, we had a revenue of about 80 million. Excuse me, I had revenue of for some reason I have trouble seeing it. Excuse me. Had revenue of about 80 million. Total expenditures of 80 million, and our debt at that time was about $14 million. You can see that has increased over time to this last fiscal year that was in this report. We had expenditures of 83 million, revenues of 84 million, and we have decreased our debt to 7 million. So from 2019 to 2021, we've cut our debt in half. So I think we've done really good there. And it kind of gives you some little data snapshots at the bottom there. It just shows our total revenues, total expenditures, debt. We have 11.6 thousand people, so 11,615 is what the actual number was in a 2020 census. Now our average debt's about $641 per capita. So numbers there were looking really well, especially on the debt side. So that's kind of just the high level look at the audit. If you'll have any questions, we can take those at this time or ask questions. I believe there's somebody from the comptroller's office here. If you have any questions beyond that, maybe we can't answer.
Thank you, Mayor. But Mr. McFarland, was he unable to be here with us tonight?
Mr. McFarland is in the hospital. He's having some health issues today, and they let me know this morning. I think he went in the hospital Saturday.
We'll keep him in our thoughts and prayers. As the mayor was stating, we have a gentleman here with us from the state. Does anyone have any questions, or do you have any questions of us?
If you can come to one of the microphones, because we're recording.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm Tyler Ensminger. I'm one of the auditors working on the audit this year, or for fiscal year 21. I don't have anything in particular to say. I'm here to answer any questions if you have any about the audit. The mayor went over the findings and explained things pretty well, I think. But if there's any further questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Does anyone have any questions? Yes, sir.
Do you feel like that we answered everything satisfactorily as far as the answers back to the audit, as far as what we're doing to address those issues?
Yeah, the corrective action plan is what we call it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think so. Like the mayor went over, I think that they've properly addressed. They're gonna, our recommendation for the capital asset issue was that the water department perform an annual review of their capital assets and make sure everything's still in service. That finding came about because of they weren't able to provide documentation for any asset disposals during the year. So I think they had some assets that were removed from the listing, but we didn't really know what that consisted of. So we recommend to them, as you can see in our finding, that they perform an annual review of that. And then, like you said, the second finding, I think they've decided to change their contract structure to properly account for, I think, to do it over 3 years instead of 1. So that'll help with that part.
Anyone else have any questions? Thank you for making the trip here to be with us tonight. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yeah. We appreciate y'all having us out, and Trousdale County has some good people, and we enjoy working with everybody in the mayor's office and school and all the constitutional officers and everything. So we appreciate y'all working with us, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the committee? Mayor, do you know of anything else?
No, sir, that should be it.
Chairman Jewell, do you know of anything? All right.
You voted to keep the officers the same. Who are the officers? Who's vice chair and secretary? Because it's not indicated on the website.
I'm the chair, and who is our vice? Mr. Whitaker? Mr. Whitaker, and you're the secretary. Yes, sir. Thank you. Do we have any public comment tonight? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor, please say aye. It passes. We stand adjourned.